Hello, welcome back to Pride Month. This week is Genderqueer week on my channel, and in this video I'm going to be talking about my transition as a genderqueer person. First up, I just want to mention that transitioning as a non-binary person or a genderqueer person is exceedingly complicated, and to be honest, transitioning at all, especially in the UK, is also exceedingly complicated. It is a mess, and what I want to do in this video as well is challenge what you think a transition is, because a lot of misconceptions come from the fact that in media a transition is portrayed as like one single surgery and a bunch of hormones, and that isn't really the case. There are so many factors in someone's transition. There are social, aesthetic, legal factors, as well as physical factors, emotional factors. There are so many steps in a transition. So let's talk about mine. I am not finished. I have been... how long have I been transitioning? A long time. Partly because the legal system in the UK is not set up to allow people like me to transition in the way that we want to, and honestly my relationship with my gender and what I want from my body has been complicated by chronic illness and disability, and to be honest, I've had bigger battles to fight than the aesthetic things in my body. And that's just how I feel about my gender and my body. Other trans people might feel differently, but I've had bigger things to fight, and that's a whole long story. If you're interested in chronic illness and disability and what mine are, I'm going to put a link to a playlist up here, but stick around for this video and then check out my channel afterwards. So I've been transitioning for a long time and I'm not finished, but let's start at the beginning. I think the first part of my transition was social transitioning. This began with me coming out as genderqueer, first to my peers at school and then to my family. I'm going to talk about my specific coming out next week in Coming Out Week, but feel free to open a new tab and watch me read my coming out letter after this video. I came out to school peers and teachers first because it felt safer, and I don't mean that in the sense of I was in danger. I luckily grew up in a reasonably accepting home. There was no threat of violence. In my opinion, it was just a lot of difficult conversations that I wasn't really ready for. So I came out to peers and some teachers, largely because they were the only people that really addressed me with my name. They were the only people that I heard talk about me, so I wanted them to use the correct name and pronouns, but I didn't have a name yet. First actual change I asked people to make was pronouns, because I decided long before I even came across the term genderqueer and realised how well that fit me, I knew that I was a they. I knew I wasn't a she. I questioned briefly whether I was a trans man, and then I found the language to describe how I was feeling, and it cemented that, yeah, okay, they pronouns, that's how I want people to refer to me as. So I changed my pronouns as the first step in my transition. I also asked people to call me person instead of boy or girl or man or woman, or things like student, peer. That was obviously a step in my transition which has carried forward to this day. And then my next step was choosing a name and getting people to call me that name. So I, with a group of peers, I don't even think they were like my best friends, I think it was just people I was hanging out with at lunch. I can't really remember who was there, but we were talking about it because I had obviously come out and been like, yes, I am genderqueer, please use they them, I fall under the trans umbrella. If you want to know more about what genderqueer is, I made a video about it this week, which I will link to up there if you're a little bit confused at this point. But we were talking about it and they asked me whether I had a new name, and I was like, no, but I do really want to change it. So we got onto the discussion of gender neutral names and what I wanted from a name. And I said that I wanted something gender neutral. I wanted it to be short and playful and not too many syllables because I couldn't hear my own name being shouted across the room, and not one person said maybe you should check your hearing. It was not my name's fault. Turns out I have been deaf a lot longer than I thought I have been. That was the criteria, and it was very, very simple. Me choosing a name, it didn't take me ages. The suggestions were Sam, Alex, Max. And I was like, Max, that one. So I socially changed my name. It was like a, it fits, but let's try it type situation. So I was now Max, they, them, person. And then I changed my name on Facebook so people could see it more and they would practice and they would get used to just me being known as Max. Next part of my transition that I tackled, I say that like there wasn't an overlap, was the aesthetics. It's always been a struggle, to be honest. Have I ever really been happy with the clothes that I wear? Not really. I'm just not comfortable inhabiting a body, it seems. A big step that I took was going to thrift shops or places like Primark where you can buy cheap clothes to try out relatively affordably. I started shopping in the men's section because I had always grown up in women's clothes. I sort of knew what I wanted and didn't want from women's clothes, but I'd never experimented with different fits, different cuts. And let me tell you, men's pockets changed my life. Style-wise, and actual like aesthetics, it's still a struggle. I seem to feel most comfortable in jeans and a shirt, and that is pretty gender neutral in my opinion. I do still wear skirts. I haven't in a long time, but I still have them and I like them. But yeah, jeans and a shirt. It can be a button shirt, it could be a t-shirt, it could be a vest. None of that really matters. It's just jeans, shirt, jumper, I guess. I don't know how to be any more gender neutral than that. And hair. Hair is often a big part of someone's transition, and I had attachment issues when it came to my hair. Thanks mum for that. So I didn't cut my hair for ages, and as you can see in my videos, there's still a lot of hair. I've always wanted to shave my head, but it has not yet happened. But I do now have an undercut, which obviously quarantine hair. I'm waiting to go to someone who can actually cut hair to get it fixed and trimmed, because I have not the point. I did recently, in the last year or so, take the plunge and get a more queer haircut, a more affirming haircut, and that is an ongoing struggle. I think the aesthetic part is the thing that's going to take the longest, maybe. But moving on, because I think aesthetics evolve in a person anyway. Legal transition. Now this is really complicated-ish. I'm in the UK and currently we don't legally recognise non-binary genders. No comments on this, please. So as far as a legal transition, the only thing I've really been able to do legally is to legally change my name and my title. So I can legally change my title to MX, Mix, or Mixter. I use Mixter, but I won't correct anyone that use Mix. I can legally change my title to that, but they don't recognise non-binary people legally, so make that make sense. I did it. Now my driver's license looks like this. This is how my name appears on my driver's license, and honestly it causes way more problems than it should. That's kind of it for the legal side. It's all I can really do. My NHS records list me as male despite me not having a gender recognition certificate, because they don't give those out to non-binary people, because non-binary people don't exist in law and therefore paperwork, and therefore it doesn't exist on a GRC. But they changed it anyway because they flipped a coin, because that's how bad their understanding of non-binary gender is. Didn't ask, but they did it anyway. As soon as I am able to apply to be legally recognised as my actual gender, I will be doing that. It's on the list. It's transition goals that I want one day that will happen. Whether they have it legal recognition for actual genderqueer or just non-binary, it would be more accurate to just have a third option, no matter what that label is, even if it's just X or other. That would be better than what it currently is now. And then the next part of my transition was to invest in a binder to see whether flattening my chest would make me feel better about myself. Sometimes it does. It makes shirts fit a lot better because the boys are not small. So I don't have that horrible gaping button thing that some people with chests have. So that helps, but I'm not interested in pursuing top surgery. Might change, but so far up to this point I've never wanted it. Any of my desire for a flatter chest is generally quite temporary, so a binder fixes that for the most part. And one of the biggest parts that you think of when you think of transition is hormones. I also don't really want hormone treatments. I have a whole hormonal thing going on. You may have noticed in some of my videos I have a nice little mustache coming on, and I don't know why, but I'm okay with it. I enjoy it, but I'm not well, maybe until we can sort out a hormone replacement therapy that can be a bit more tailored to non-binary and genderqueer and gender non-conforming people, then I'm not really interested. I don't want to have to pursue the medical route if I have to pretend that I want to be a man, because I don't. I just want to alter my body slightly and tailor my trans healthcare to my transition goals, not what the guideline says my transition should look like. Because for some people that is a thing. So there are options for genderqueer people who want to go on HRT, but again, because of the lack of legal recognition of non-binary genders, it can be difficult to actually pursue it properly. Don't ask me about private healthcare, I don't know. I'm too poor. Yes, the last thing I should talk about transition-wise is surgeries. Have I had any surgeries? No. Do I want any? Yeah, I do. I would like to have a hysterectomy because I don't want a uterus. It causes far more problems than it is worth. I do not want children. I don't want to carry children. I don't want that option. I don't want periods because who does? They're horrible and a pain in my ass, quite literally. This is both for transition reasons and like health reasons and chronic pain reasons. They drain so much of my life from me. It's like 3 whole days a month, which is just absurd. It's not necessary. I don't need it and I don't want it. Plus the whole revelation that I have had at least one ovarian cyst in my life. I don't want any more. That's the only surgery that I want, is that one, and it's extraordinarily hard to get in the UK, at least, especially on the NHS, and especially if it's to do with gender care, because if you're trans then they panic. Will I ever be done transitioning? Yeah, probably at some point. I think actively yes, passively maybe not, because I think everybody passively evolves over time, and some of the things that would be considered just normal evolution, like aesthetics and style, is being considered transition because I'm trans. Mic drop. I have the horrible feeling that I've missed something. So if I have, let me know in the comments section below, and while you're there, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so you get notified every single time I post a new video. Videos go up every Saturday at 6 PM UK time, with at least one bonus video every single month. Apart from this month, which is Pride Month, and you're getting 2 videos every single week. One on Wednesday and one on Saturday, and I've split it into weeks. Next week is coming out week. Yay! Be excited for that. I'll see you then. See you.